Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Brody and today I am going through and ranking my top 20 Australian cricketers of the past 30 years. Australia has been so lucky to have so many amazing players in its history, so I've decided just to do the past 30 years because I'm 30 years old and I just want to focus on the players that I really know. I'll mainly be basing this ranking on Test cricket, but ODI cricket will also be considered. 2020 cricket, not really considered at all. Before we get stuck into the list, there are some players who did technically play in the 90s but were right at the end of their careers there, so I haven't included them. So someone like Mark Taylor, for example, is not eligible for this list. And with so many Australian cricketers out there to choose from, undoubtedly there's a few who are a bit stiff not to get selected. So let me know down in the comments who you think was most unlucky to miss out. Let's get into it. Number 20, Jason Gillespie. Gillespie was a part of a dominant Australian team and has been somewhat forgotten compared to the other bowlers he played alongside with. However, those who watched him play hold him in high regard. Tall, quick, and accurate, Gillespie was known for taking top order wickets and getting Australia off to a flying start. His best figures of 7 for 37 against England at Lords are simply incredible. He finished his career off in style, famously scoring an unbeaten double century as the night watchman against Bangladesh, his one and only Test century. Number 19, Travis Head. The South Australian left-hander has become known as a genuine big game match winner. His aggressive, fearless batting leaving teams scratching their heads wondering how to control the damage that he does. While short in stature, Head can absolutely whack the ball to all parts of the ground, often clearing the boundary with ease. His 163 against India in the World Test Championship final and his 137 also against India in the World Cup final in India will forever be remembered as some of the greatest, most important innings in the Australian cricket history. Number 18, Justin Langer. One half of the famous Hayden and Langer opening partnership, Justin Langer had a terrific career spanning 14 years. 7,500 test runs at an average of 45, including 23 test tons. Langer was known for his cool temperament, patience, and resilience. He would later go on to coach the men's team for 4 years. Number 17, Brett Lee. With arguably the best fast bowling action ever, Brett Lee was a key pillar in Australia's dominance during the late 90s and early 2000s. One of only a handful of players to be clocked at over 100 miles per hour, Binger was known for his raw pace, brutal bounces, and effective Yorkers. Only Muralitharan took more ODI wickets during the decade of 2000 to 2010. Lee was also a handy lower order batsman and the hitter of one of the biggest sixes ever, hitting Darren Power for a massive 143-metre six at the Gabba. Lee won the Allan Border Medal in 2008. Number 16, Josh Hazlewood. Often referenced as the modern-day McGrath, Josh Hazlewood is a tall, fast-medium bowler known for his impeccable control and consistency. Hazlewood can hit a spot on the pitch time and time again, swinging and seaming the ball, and often catching the batsman caught on the crease. He famously took 5 for 8 against India to help bowl them out for a record low 36 in Adelaide, and he has been ranked the ICC Test number 2, ODI number 1, and T20 number 1 ranked bowler, highlighting an incredible ability to perform well in every format. Number 15, Shane Watson. A genuine all-rounder across all three formats, Shane Watson had the makings to become one of cricket's all-time greats. Unfortunately, he never quite found consistency, and ultimately finished his career with a bit of a question mark about what could have been. Maybe that's a bit harsh, as he did have a successful career by all accounts. Back-to-back Allan Border medals in 2010-11 is no small feat. Watson was a powerful striker of the ball, with a textbook technique and wonderful aggression. There was no stopping him when he was on. He was also more than handy with the ball, quite often picking up valuable wickets with his medium-pace swingers and taking 3 Test fifers. Number 14, David Warner. Warner burst onto the international scene with an incredible 89 off 43 balls in a T20 against South Africa in 2009. It was clear straight away that he had talent, but who would have guessed he'd go on to have a successful career as an opening Test batsman? Well, as an opener in all 3 formats, really. Warner was a modern-day Matthew Hayden, minus the height. The left-hander known for his incredible power, aggression, and stroke play. Unfortunately, he struggled overseas, and that fact will always leave a bit of a blemish on his career. But when it came to playing in Australia, he was simply remarkable, often setting Australia up for a win on the first day, or even the first session of a Test match. Warner hit a brilliant 335 not out against Pakistan in 2019, won the Allan Border Medal 3 times, and he sits second for the most runs scored for Australia across all formats. Number 13, Mitchell Johnson. He bowls to the left, he bowls to the right. Mitchell Johnson had raw pace and not a whole lot of control for most of his career. This wasn't too bad for him in all honesty, because while he was inconsistent, he was also unpredictable and managed to pick up enough wickets to compensate for his wide and loose deliveries. But then, after being dropped and working on his technique, he came back a different beast with a handlebar mustache. Johnson had one of the most dominant series in history in the 2013-14 Ashes series, taking a remarkable 37 wickets at 13.97 to lead Australia to a 5-0 whitewash victory and force several Poms into retirement. This was a new, revived, and frankly scary Johnson, who added some control to his raw pace and intimidated batsmen with some of the best short-pitch bowling you'll ever see. Johnson took this form over to South Africa, taking a career-best 12 for 127 in the first Test. Johnson was also a good tail-ender, capable of adding some handy runs, including a brilliant 123 against South Africa in 2009. Johnson won the Allan Border Medal and the ICC Cricketer of the Year in 2014. Number 12, Michael Hussey. One of the nicest and most likeable cricketers ever, Mr. Cricket forced his way into the ODI team at 28 years of age and eventually into the Test side at 30 years of age after scoring a plethora of runs in domestic cricket. Ever the reliable middle-order batsman, Hussey was capable of steadying the ship or continuing the runs barrage depending on the situation. The left-hander, known for his classy cover drive and elegant sweep shot, as well as being terrific in gully. Retiring with a Test average of 51, one can only wonder what could have been had his career started just a little earlier. Number 11, Mitchell Starc. Tall, quick, and intimidating, Mitchell Starc is every opening batsman's worst nightmare. Known for taking wickets in the first over, or even with the first ball of a match, Starc has time and time again gone Australia off to a flyer with his deadly swing bowling. Starc sits 4th place for most Australian Test and ODI wickets, and has been one of the greatest World Cup bowlers in history, famously winning Player of the Series during Australia's 2015 triumph with 22 wickets. He backed that up with a mammoth 29 wickets in 2019, breaking the record for most wickets in a single ODI World Cup. He currently sits in 3rd place for most World Cup wickets, behind only McGrath and Muralitharan. He is also no slouch with the bat, with a Test best of 99 and a beautiful technique. Number 10, Michael Clarke. Clarke started his career in style, scoring a terrific 151 against India in Bangalore in a man-of-the-match performance. In that same series, he would take a career-best 6 for 9 with the ball, with his left-arm orthodox bowling. Pop had a rollercoaster career, being dropped and returning, becoming captain, but not having the love and respect of his team or the Australian public that other captains have had before and after him. But there is no denying the bloke could bat. Clarke was prolific in the middle order and has some of the most memorable innings in Australian history. His 329 not out against India is the obvious standout, But arguably even better was his brilliant 161 against South Africa, in which he faced a barrage of short pitch bowling, breaking his shoulder in the process, yet still managing to go on and lead Australia to a famous series victory. Clarke is the only player in Test history to score 4 double centuries in a calendar year, with scores of 329, 210, 259, and 230 in 2012, in what is undoubtedly one of the most dominant years any batsman has ever had. My favourite Clarke moment, though, is undoubtedly his 3 wickets in 4 balls to snatch victory over India in 2008. What a thriller. Michael Clarke led Australia to victory in the 2015 World Cup, won the Allan Border Medal in 2005, 2009, 2012, and 2013, and was the ICC Cricketer of the Year in 2013. But how he didn't win it in 2012 is beyond me. Number 9. Nathan Lyon. From curating at Adelaide Oval to over 500 Test wickets, including a wicket with his very first ball, Gary has been an integral part of the Australian team for over a decade. He's kind of the Glenn McGrath of off-spin, in that he doesn't do too much but bowl good areas and put pressure on the batsman to make a mistake. Lyon took 12 wickets to guide Australia home to a famous victory in Adelaide against India just after the tragic passing of Phil Hughes, a huge effort which included 7 for in the 4th innings. He is also one of just 2 players to remain not out for an entire 5-match Test series, a feat he achieved during the 2013-14 Ashes series. But if there's one thing that sums up Gary, it's coming out to bat during the 2nd innings with an injured calf in the 2023 Ashes, hitting 4 runs and combining with Mitchell Starc to add 15 runs for the final wicket. Australia would go on to win that match by 43 runs, and Lyon would solidify his status as a legendary team first player. Number 8. Matthew Hayden. The fact that Matthew Hayden could rack up these career numbers as an opening batsman is absolutely phenomenal. He and Langer in Test and he and Gilchrist in ODIs time and time again set Australia up for victory with their opening partnerships. Tall, strong, and aggressive, Hayden was ahead of his time when it came to taking the game on as an opener and putting the pressure back on the bowlers. His 380 against Zimbabwe will remain one of the most famous knocks in cricket. Winner of the 2002 Allan Border Medal, Matthew Hayden will go down as one of the greatest opening batsmen in cricket history. Number 7. Steve Waugh. Probably the only player on this list that I don't actually remember watching. He was just slightly before my time, but his numbers and legacy definitely earn him a spot on this list. Over 10,000 Test runs and an average of 51, a beloved and respected captain, a terrific slips fieldsman, and an iconic last ball 4 to hit a famous century. Steve Waugh is considered to be the most successful captain in cricket history, with 41 victories at a 72% win rate, as well as leading Australia in 15 out of 16 games in their famous win streak, and captaining them to victory in the 1999 World Cup. Number 6. Pat Cummins. Pat Cummins stormed onto the scene with an incredible man-of-the-match performance against South Africa at just 18 years of age. Unfortunately for Pat and for cricket, back problems kept him out of the game for many years, and it looked for a time that we would be left to wonder what could have been. But, to his credit, he put in the hard work, strengthened his body, changed his action, and managed to come back the player everyone thought he could be. Cummins is everything you want in a fast bowler. Seriously quick and deadly accurate, with a great bouncer and a huge tank. Cummins has been in the top few bowlers in the world for many years now. He won the Allan Border Medal in 2019 and will no doubt retire as one of Australia's very best. But, more than that, Cummins has proven himself to be a terrific leader of Australia. Somewhat unexpectedly handed the captaincy after Steve Smith and Tim Paine were stood down amongst their respective controversies, Cummins has showed that a fast bowler really can be a captain, and a damn good one at that. A World Test Championship victory, retaining the Ashes away, a historic World Cup win in India against India, and winning the Border Gavaskar Trophy after India held it for almost 10 years are some of the highlights of his captaincy to date. Notably, Cummins has also proven to be a match winner with the bat in hand. He held up an end against Afghanistan to allow Maxwell to play his match-winning knock. He hit 44 not out to win the first test at the Ashes alongside Nathan Lyon. And honestly, there's quite a few other ones that you can look up, and it just goes to show what a match winner he really is. And more than that, Cummins has helped to make Australian men's team a genuinely likeable group of people. If you haven't already, I highly recommend watching all of Amazon Prime's The Test, and you'll definitely understand what I mean. Number 5. Glenn McGrath. Line and length. He wasn't the quickest, didn't have the craziest change-ups, but he was tall and consistent, forcing batsmen to play, swinging and seaming the ball both ways, and taking an insane amount of wickets at a staggering average. McGrath sits only behind Warney for the most wickets taken for Australia, and until recently had the most test wickets ever for a seam bowler. I also find it remarkable how successful he was in ODI cricket, as I feel these days a consistent line and length would be something attacking batsmen would go after. But hey, what do I know? 3 World Cup victories, the most World Cup wickets ever, and 7th most ODI wickets ever speaks for itself. McGrath won the Allan Border Medal in 2000. Number 4. Adam Gilchrist. Few people can say they've changed the game the way that Gilly has. Before Gilchrist, wicketkeepers were wicketkeepers, and the runs they scored were basically a bonus. Now, they're essentially required to be in your top 7 batsmen in the country. Such was the impact he had on the game. 5,500 test runs at an average just under 48, 1700s and 26 50s would be an outstanding career for any middle order batsman. But it was the manner in which he scored his runs that was equally as important. Gilly put pressure on the bowlers with his attacking nature and powerful stroke play. His 57 ball ton in the Ashes in 2006 remains one of the greatest knocks ever. Throw on top of that 379 catches and 37 stumpings and you've got one hell of a career. Gilly won the Allan Border Medal in 2003. Then there's his ODI career as well, in which he opened the batting, and again his numbers are just insane. Highlighted, of course, by his 149 in the World Cup final against Pakistan in 2007. On a side note, it was Adam Gilchrist that inspired me to take up cricket as a young lad. I received a set of keeping gloves for Christmas one year and signed up to play not long after. He is undoubtedly one of cricket's most universally loved and respected players. Number 3. Steve Smith. From a baby-faced leggy batting at number 8 to the best since Bradman, Steve Smith's career has been nothing short of extraordinary. A 4-time Allan Border medalist and the 2015 ICC Cricketer of the Year, Smudge in his prime was heads, shoulders, knees and toes above the rest of the world, holding an unbelievable batting average of around 63 for quite some time. Even today, after a few lean years, his average of 56 is exceptional. The bloke is just obsessed with batting, and his quirks and unique style add some extra flair to his freakish abilities that have frustrated bowlers from all over the world. Smith in his prime was simply impossible to get out. He was unbelievably patient, leaving ball after ball outside off stump, tempting the bowler to stray onto the stumps, then bam, he'd hit you wonderfully through the leg side, or punish you through the covers if you ever overpitched. His 2019 Ashes series remains my favourite athletic performance I have ever seen. He made runs for fun, while literally every other player from both sides struggled, and single-handedly retained the Ashes for Australia. And all that in his return to cricket after a 12-month ban following Sandpapergate. Isha Guha said it best: a world-class batsman, batting in a world of his own. Oh, and let's not forget his catching. Like every Aussie skipper before him, Smith is an unbelievable slips catch, taking countless one-handed hangers, and now leading Australia for the most catches ever. Here's hoping he can continue his late resurgence and finish his career on a high. Number 2. Ricky Ponting. Punter boasts some of the most unbelievable records in cricket history. He was an incredibly successful captain, leading Australia to 2 World Cup and 2 Champions Trophy victories, as well as leading one of the most successful Test sides ever. And while you can certainly credit the strength of those sides to that success, there is no denying that Ricky led from the front in every department. He was an aggressive captain who had the respect of his teammates and of the Australian public. A world-class fieldsman capable of taking spectacular catches and executing exciting run-outs, and of course, he is a legendary batsman with probably the greatest pull shot the game has ever seen. Ricky finished his Test career second only to Sachin Tendulkar for the most Test runs ever, with 41 Test hundreds and an average over 50. And his ODI record isn't too shabby either. Ponting has won the Allan Border Medal 4 times and was the ICC Cricketer of the Year in 2006 and 7. What a superstar. Number 1. Shane Warne. It just had to be, didn't it? Shane Warne, the king of spin. I'm not sure cricket has ever seen a figure quite like Warnie. He loved a pie, a beer, and a dart. He was a little bit fat, a little bit out there, but by God, could he bowl. Warnie terrorized batsmen all over the world with his unbelievable control, spin, and cricket smarts. The fact that he sits outright second for the most Test wickets despite not playing the majority of his career on spin-friendly wickets speaks volumes. 37 Test fifers, 17 Test Man of the Match awards, and a pretty respectable ODI career as well. But Warnie was the type of player where the numbers just don't do it justice. His bowling was an art form. The way he could turn a ball an absolute mile and leave the batsman standing there, completely stunned as to what had just happened to them, was something no other bowler has come close to replicating. He was an absolute freak, and he is the best Australian cricketer of the past 30 years. Okay guys, there you have it. That is my top 20 Australian cricketers of the past 30 years. Let me know down in the comments who your favourite cricketers are, if I missed anyone, or if there was someone in there you think wasn't quite deserving of the spot. Thanks for watching. See you next time.